Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tales, where secrets slip, lies unravel, and the truth always has a twist. Real stories, raw confessions, shocking betrayals. Drop a comment if you've ever caught a red flag too late. Now let's get into today's tale. "You've always been a burden, Mark," my dad barked in front of everyone. Right after I flew in, paid for his birthday cake, and spent the morning fixing his broken fence, I snapped. Then let Philip pay for everything. I shut down every payment they quietly relied on for years. My name is Mark. I am 33 years old, and for as long as I can think back, I've always been the extra one. Not the special kid, not the one everyone loved, just the one who was around. My younger brother, River. He was the chosen one, the perfect child. Soccer champion, top student. Totally mom and dad's little award. And me? I was the one who repaired his car after he smashed it. The person who covered his parking fines so our parents wouldn't stop him from going to Miami, Florida. The one who made up reasons when he missed family holidays, just to avoid arguments. They called it being a caring older brother. I called it being ignored while handing out money. Living far away made things easier. I went to Portland, Oregon right after college, found a job in computers, and slowly made a decent life. I had a small apartment, regular pay, and peaceful days. But each time I came back home, usually for birthdays, weddings, or when mom wanted to see me, I became the extra person, the backup. The outsider in my own family. Talks were always about Philip, his promotions, his latest girlfriend, the run for charity he did last autumn, even when I shared things, like my new job title as senior analyst. No one really cared. My mom gave a small smile, but wasn't really listening, already changing the subject to River's next business trip to Tokyo, Japan. My dad made a noise about how computer work isn't real work, then switched the television to a football match. But I kept visiting. Not because I believed anything would change, but because I hoped. Maybe one day they would notice me, value me, or at least recognize that I was trying. I gave presents every Christmas, helped with their house payments during when money was tight, sent River $1,000 here, $600 there, always just till Friday, and always followed by a thank you message that felt copied and pasted. My parents never asked how I had the money. They just assumed I was fine. "You don't have your own wife and kids," Mom once told me. "You can support your brother." Then came my dad's 65th birthday. It was a cookout in the backyard. Nothing special, just relatives and neighbors and cheap plates full of burgers. I flew in for the weekend, helped Mom put up decorations Friday night, even paid for the cake when she saw the one she bought was too small. Saturday came, and by noon, the whole place was full. River showed up late, like always, walking in with a new watch and his girlfriend, Margaret, who had just started a YouTube show about simple living while wearing sandals that cost $700. My dad's face lit up when he saw him, hugged him, laughed like someone who hadn't smiled in a long time, then looked at me, gave a small nod, and went back to Philip like I was just a neighbor who brought snacks. Dinner happened. Drinks and sodas were passed around. People sat near the fire pit telling short stories and making small jokes. The kind of stuff families do when they've never talked about the real problems sitting under years of silence. Then it happened. Someone, probably my cousin Samuel, who drank too many juices, asked me what I had been working on. I talked about a new safety system I helped make for a shipping company, how it was saving them thousands of dollars every month. The talk lasted barely a minute before River cut in, speaking about a deal he made last week. My dad patted him on the back, smiling wide. "That's what I'm talking about," he said proudly. "Now that's how you do something important." I laughed, not because I was happy, but because of that empty, bitter feeling you get when you finally know you'll never be enough. "Guess all I'm good for is paying their bills, right?" I said as a joke. My dad turned around, holding a cup of juice and said, loud enough for everyone on the patio to hear, "You've always been a burden, Mark. Your brother is the one who really matters." The world didn't freeze. Nobody dropped drinks or gasped. A few people laughed awkwardly. Mom tried to quiet him, but it was already too late. My chest sank. Not because I didn't expect it, but because he finally said it out loud. I didn't scream. I didn't shout. I didn't throw my drink like in the movies. I just stood there for a moment, nodded slowly, walked inside, picked up my bag, booked the earliest flight back to Portland, and left. No message, no goodbye, only silence. The moments after were strangely quiet. No messages, no phone calls, no fake, "How's it going?" Notes from family acting like they were neutral. I returned to my office duties, looked after myself, shut off the automatic bank. Payment I had been giving Philip only while he was figuring things out. Removed the family cell service I was still covering, including the internet river used at the fitness center to listen to songs. Signed out from the group Netflix everyone was using. Quietly erased myself from their money world, one charge at a time. Days went by. Then one night, as I was making food, my mobile lit up. River sent a message, short and irritated. "Why did you stop giving me cash?" I looked at it for 60 seconds. Then wrote, "Didn't want to throw money at someone who already owns what matters most." I have never pressed send faster in my life. After that, everything started shifting. My mom called several days later. I ignored it. Then came a flood of texts. First pretending to care, then trying to guilt me, then turning mad. "You're being foolish. We're family. River truly needs you right now." I read none of them. I wasn't being harsh. I was just finished. What I didn't expect was how fast everything would crash without me. It started quietly. Small hints that the structure I had silently supported for so long was falling, now that I wasn't around to hold it up. The first person who reached out was my Aunt Kimberly. She usually never chose sides, just hovered quietly with small smiles and calm nods. But this time, she didn't. "Stay out of it. Mark," she said, after I declined her call and she dialed again. "Your mother is crying. She says River is late on rent and your parents are pulling money from their savings to help him. What's going on?" I didn't answer right away. I just sat and stared at the paint, like it might allow me to finally speak what I had buried for so long. I said flatly, "I stopped providing. I guess that proves it wasn't River's money all along." She stayed silent for a beat, then let out a long breath. You know how they act. They ignore reality until they're drowning in problems. "Maybe that's the only way they'll finally get it," I replied, then ended the call. From there, it got either worse or better, based on how you see it. Turns out, without the $1,000 I used to send Philip every other week, he missed housing payments for 2 months. His credit debt started growing. Margaret, who thought hard work meant fixing her own video title, dumped him as soon as his Venmo transfer stopped working. She uploaded a crying video named "Leaving a Toxic Relationship: My Truth." It pulled more viewers than all her other uploads combined. The joke didn't go unnoticed by me. Then came the twist nobody saw coming. My parents' bank situation began falling apart. When I was young, my dad always said, "Real guys deal with finances without complaining." What he didn't explain was that his way of handling things came with quiet help, like the $1,500 I slipped him every December for house issues, or the money I paid off secretly when he failed to pay a business loan 5 years back. Because my mom once said, "He doesn't need the shame." Now that I'm not there cleaning up behind the scenes, things were not so clean anymore. Their internet was disconnected. Mom had to end her reading club when she couldn't host anymore. Dad's truck got taken back. Apparently, he had been using River's identity to open credit cards, something nobody admitted until the debt collectors began calling Philip. The most painful detail: Nobody asked me directly. Instead, they contacted Kimberly. They went to cousin Samuel. They even reached out to an old classmate of mine who still lives nearby. I suppose they figured someone else could talk me into giving in. One person even tried to shame me through LinkedIn. The last moment came through, an email from my mom. The subject line said, "Come home." Her message was brief, but each sentence felt like it came straight out of a book called How to Control Someone Without Saying Sorry, Your Father Feels Sick. River is trying his hardest. I realize you're upset, but this family counts on you. We've always counted on you. Please remember what truly matters. I looked at it 5 different times. Then I clicked reply, typed something, erased it. Because what was I even supposed to write? That I had thought about what truly mattered for 33 full years. And clearly, I had never been part of that. That I had spent birthdays hearing my father cheer for River's future while I stood near the sink, washing dishes. That when I finished college, they mailed me a greeting card and signed their names. But rented a whole boat for Philip when he got his high school diploma. Instead, I let the quiet speak for me. I didn't reply. And for the first time, they finally knew what it felt like to miss me. Not the version they half listened to during meals. Not the one who covered their bills without a word, but the person they depended on every day, without saying it. And that quiet became loud. Kimberly sent another text. "You should see this," she typed, along with a screenshot of a Facebook post my mom had made. It showed a photo of her and Dad sitting on a porch that obviously wasn't their own. Someone else's place, probably used just for the photo. The words under it said, "Family has nothing to do with cash. It's about care. Some folks forget that when they decide to walk away." The comments were full of pity, people who barely knew what happened or didn't know anything, leaving heart emojis and writing things like, "You're both amazing parents." I didn't reply. I didn't press like. I simply stared at the post, feeling something I couldn't describe. Not rage. Not sorrow. Just a type of cold understanding. This wasn't surprising. It was only the first time I didn't pretend it was okay. But what happened afterward was the twist no one predicted. 2 weeks after that post, I received a letter. Not a message, not an email, a real piece of mail, actual envelope, blue pen. My name, written in the tiny handwriting my mom always used when she wanted to sound proper. It was sent through my old mailing address, the one I'd used when I first left for college. I opened it slowly, expecting another emotional trick or some quiet attempt to ask for forgiveness. But inside was something different. There was a written letter about 1 page long with smudged tear marks in one corner and a light brown coffee stain near the end, like she had spilled something while trying to figure out what to write. It wasn't her saying sorry. Of course it wasn't, but it was something else. "Mark, I'm guessing you won't look at this, and if you do, you'll assume I'm just defending myself. Maybe I am. Maybe I've earned this silence, but I have to explain a few things. Your dad isn't healthy. He won't say anything, but the doctor told us it's his heart. He's frightened. That's why he's been shouting more lately. That's why he said those hurtful things. River's having a hard time, too. He's not as tough as you think. He's never really been. You've always been the one we leaned on. Not because we didn't care about you, but because you handled everything. You were strong, dependable. Maybe that wasn't fair. Maybe we put too much on you. But Mark, families do make bad choices. And right now, everything's falling apart. We truly need you. Please return home. It should have broken something inside me. Should have pulled on that old guilt I used to wear like a second jacket. But instead, I felt nothing. Only tired. Not the kind you fix with rest, but the kind buried deep in your bones. The kind that builds after carrying too much for way too long. Still, a small part of me couldn't stop wondering if she was telling the truth. About Dad, about Philip, about all the things they kept hidden behind their hopes for me. So I did, something I hadn't done in years. I checked, I didn't call, I didn't message. I searched, I pulled up River's LinkedIn. It still said freelance consultant, no updates in 6 months. The company he had worked for had silently removed him from there. Staff page, I reviewed open databases. He'd been removed from 2 places. Then I searched my parents' property. It showed up as nearing repossession. And instantly, everything became clear. The message, the Facebook picture, the messages from family I hadn't heard from in forever. They weren't contacting me out of care. They were reaching out because the bank finally stopped answering. But here's the truth. They had no clue what I had already done. Days after leaving that backyard meal, while they were still handing around food and complimenting River's newest scheme, I began checking homes online, focusing on their area, their road, and I purchased a property, not to use, not to lease, just to own. It was located 2 homes over from theirs, an old place that needed repairs, needed a new top and solid foundation. I used full payment, used no loan, arranged repair, jobs through a business name with no links to me, replaced the mail slot, even parked a wrecked vehicle outside to make it appear empty. They never saw it, but they would soon, because while they panicked over why the lender stopped waiting, why the expenses kept rising, why Philip's help vanished, something else was slowly being set up, and it all hit on a wet Wednesday. I was doing my remote job when my phone rang. Hidden caller I didn't pick up. A few moments passed. Another call, this one from my mom. I answered. Her tone was unsteady, scared. "Mark," she said, "someone purchased the house beside us. It's you, isn't it?" I stayed silent, didn't respond. "I saw your name on the builder's notice," she said, voice breaking. "You've been close all along, watching us." Still, I didn't reply. "I can't understand. Why would you—" "Finally," I responded. Calm, level, like I had rehearsed it. Because I needed to see what happens when the one who carries the load walks away. She began crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just small crack sounds. "Mark, we're losing it all." "You already lost me," I said, and ended the call. But it didn't finish there. Because next came the damage. River, who hadn't had steady employment in over 12 months, tried changing the story online. Said I left the family out of anger. Posted and later erased a tweet saying I was harmful and controlling. But I had truth, not documents. I didn't have to upload bank records or screenshots. People remembered the cousin whose textbooks I paid for, the uncle whose medical charges I handled, the niece I bought a laptop for during shutdown. They quietly messaged me. "We didn't realize," they said. "We're sorry. I didn't require a crowd. I just needed them to finally notice." And now, as foreclosure boards show up and the family chat stays quiet, I sit on the step of that newly repaired house nearby, sipping a warm drink and watching them struggle, not from hate, but from understanding. Because sometimes the real way to prove your value is to let them feel your removal. But just when I thought it was done, when I believed they'd gotten the message, an envelope showed up. Not from Mom this time, but from Philip. Inside was a check signed, and a small paper that simply said, "You win." But that's when I understood. He still didn't get it, because this wasn't ever about beating anyone. And what I did after that changed it all. I stared at the check for a while. It wasn't much, barely enough to pay for 30 days of rent in a regular city flat. But the note said it all. You win. Like this had been a match. Like finally being noticed, finally being appreciated, finally putting myself first. Was some childish race? I had to finish first. That's when I knew. He didn't understand. None of them did. I wasn't leaving to make a point. I wasn't after revenge. I wasn't even trying to harm anyone, though I won't lie, seeing them struggle sometimes felt fair. I was just finished being their unpaid helper, their emotional banker, their forgotten backup, finished being the one they only turned to when they needed something, bought, fixed, or solved. But even while their world collapsed, they still blamed me for choosing peace. But I didn't destroy the check. I didn't display it either. I slipped it into a back drawer untouched, left it sitting like a fossil from the life I used to belong to, and then I did the one thing none of them expected. I kept going. I got rid of the house beside theirs, didn't even stop by when it was sold. I let a neighborhood buyer take over. And the last thing I heard, he planned to knock it down and build something brand new, a fresh beginning. That felt right to me. I didn't want to keep watching them fall apart. I didn't want to sit in the dark keeping count. I wanted to create a life where I mattered, not because I was needed, not because I could be relied on, but just because I was here. So I started agreeing to things I used to avoid. I planned a trip to New Zealand, just me, my camera, and no schedule. I joined some cooking classes because I was tired of frozen food and eating alone. I even signed up for a hiking club, something I always laughed at when coworkers asked me, thinking, why would I waste my Saturday morning with people I don't know? Turns out, people you've never met can sometimes become more than relatives. Some of them really did. Known a few months into this new routine, I met Lila. She was honest, clever, and had a way of calling people out when they acted like they didn't matter. She pointed out that I always said my job title before anything else. You're not what you do for work, she told me during coffee. Unless you choose that. But that's a very small world. We took it slow. Coffee, walks, late-night talks that turned into quiet mornings. And for the first time in many years, I didn't feel like I had to prove myself to be cared for. I didn't have to buy someone else's dreams just to get invited into their world. With Lila, I was just myself. One night, nearly 1 year after I walked away from my family, I got a phone call. Blocked number. I let it ring. Then came a voicemail. It was my dad. His voice sounded rough, slower than I remembered. He seemed smaller. Mark, I'm not sure if this is still your number. I don't even know what to say. I miss you. Your mom does too. Philip, well, he's trying to sort things out. But I was mistaken, son. I was wrong for a long time, and I know this may not count anymore. But if you ever want to talk, I'm here. I didn't cry. I didn't grin either. I just sat, holding the phone, listening to the man who had spent his life treating love like it had to be earned. Finally, understanding that pride cost him silence, I didn't return the call. Not right away. I waited 7 days, then 14. Then, on a Sunday, while Lila and I were folding clothes in our shared apartment. Our apartment, I said. I think I'm ready to write to him. She looked up. Because you want peace? No, I answered. Because I feel ready. The letter I sent wasn't mean. It wasn't harsh. It wasn't overly emotional. It was just honest. Dad, I received your message. I've spent a long time trying to understand why things were how they were. I'm not writing to make you feel bad. I just want you to know that I had to leave. I needed room to find out who I was, outside of who you all thought I should be. I am not a burden. I never was. I'm not coming back to fix anything, but I'm open to talking, on my terms if you can accept that. Here's my number. I mailed it, and I didn't sit near the phone. I didn't wait. I didn't hope for anything. I had created something real, something on my own. I didn't need their sorry to move on, but if they gave one, I'd be willing to listen. Time passed. Then, one evening I got a message from a number I didn't know. Thank you. I don't deserve this, but I'll accept it. Dad. We met to eat a few days after that. just the two of us. No big speeches, no perfect ending, just two people, broken in different ways, sitting together and trying to speak. He asked about work, about how I was living, about Lila. He even said her name like it was important to him, not like a stand-in for some life he wanted me to have. Finally, he said, "I really messed everything up." I nodded my head. "Yes, you really did." He didn't move, just nodded too. "I'm trying to improve," he said, "even if it's already too late." "It's not too late," I replied. "It's just not the same path anymore." That's what recovery meant to me. Not forgiveness wrapped with a ribbon, not returning to the past, but creating something fresh, something smaller, calmer, stronger. About River, we didn't speak for some time. I heard from others that he got a regular position, something reliable. No more startup dreams, no more fast money plans, just effort, honest effort, he messaged later. Not to ask for help, just a short note. "I didn't realize what I expected from you back then. Now I do. I'm sorry I didn't answer right away. When I did, I simply said, 'I believe you. Let's move forward, one step at a time.' And we did. That happened 2 years back. Now, my life isn't dramatic. It's not a story about revenge or some perfect healing ending. It's only mine. I do my job. I return home. I cook meals with Lila. I read. I laugh. I rest. I send birthday messages to my parents. Sometimes we speak over the phone. Sometimes we don't. River and I drink a soda once each month. No money exchanged. No hard feelings. Just two brothers trying again. In a different way this time. The truth is, people don't always get the finish they hope for. But if they fight for it, if they walk away when the pain grows too strong and pick calm instead of pressure, they receive the ending they were meant for, and I did. Because I'm not the weight. I'm the reason the home stayed standing for as long as it did. And now, at last, I'm the reason my own life stands too.